Lei Liquan reborn Xiangjiang make a small profit in the stock market crash. From then on, he opened his own Xiangjiang era. Li Chaoren. Lei Sheng, you are a big shot in Xiangjiang real estate. Baochuan Wang. Xiaoleisheng, you are a big shot in the retail industry of Xiangjiang. Lei Liquan said helplessly, I'm not really a big shot. Keywords of the novel. Hong Kong Island Rich Times No Pop-ups, Hong Kong Island Rich Times Complete Collection Download, Hong Kong Island Rich Times Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. Lei Superman Appears. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 1 Lei Superman appears January 21, 1974, Monday. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, located in the Xiangjiang River of the southern country, and the New Year's flavor is getting stronger and stronger. In the era when the Pearl of the East was still embedded in the Queen's crown, the Spring Festival was the oldest and most important festival, deeply engraved in the bones of every Chinese. Lei Liquan looked straight at himself in the mirror. Young and handsome. The handsome guy in the mirror is naked, with 8 abdominal muscles visible. I clenched my fist and couldn't help but feel. It's so nice to be young. Unconsciously, it has been 2 years since he was reborn. Lei Liquan, who lived in his past life, was not wealthy from a young age. After graduating from university, he worked hard in the financial industry for more than a decade, and worked in a middle-level position in an investment bank. He also bought a full payment house of over 100 square meters in the neighboring deep sea market, which is considered a winner in life among ordinary people. Brotherly, you're ready to leave now, a pair of small hands rested on his chest. It's a serious matter. My dad just called and it's New Year's Eve tomorrow. He asked me to go home. Are you still coming out tonight? Jane, you go home first and we'll contact you by phone. Lei Liquan prepared to get up and leave. Zhen, whose full name is Li Yuzhen, Li Shao, and the second princess of the Li family, was the wife of Lei Liquan in history. Even after changing souls, she did not deliberately escape. She could have changed to another one, but when you think about it, it's a good match, isn't it? And she is obedient and not dominant, just a bit wild. Okay, I'll listen to you. Jane looked at the newly rising sun outside the window and said, Brotherly, will you encounter a big traffic jam when you go out now? You'll have to wait for me to leave. That's okay. Lei Liquan thought for a moment and nodded. Dad should still be at the office in the morning, and his home is also deserted. The Peninsula Hotel is a favorite gathering place for Hong Kong's wealthy and upper class. Lei Liquan, who has been living in Hong Kong for 2 years, has also met some people through his father in various media channels, and often sees these people in the hotel. But he knows these people, but they may not necessarily know him. After passing through the gate of the Peninsula Hotel, a black Pingji had already stopped at the entrance and waited. After sitting in, Lei Liquan said to the driver, Abio, Kowloon Jianya. The traffic jam has passed, but Central is still bustling with traffic. However, the atmosphere of the Chinese New Year has become more intense, with lights and decorations everywhere. The New Year atmosphere also dissipated the dark clouds that enveloped the head of the Xiangjiang River. The 1973 stock market crash not only caused heavy losses to the wealthy people in Xiangjiang, but also left most ordinary people with no return on investment. You should know that the 1970s was the beginning of the era of nationwide stock trading in Xiangjiang. At this time, there were 4 major exchanges in Xiangjiang, and for a place with a big palm, it was inevitable that there would be internal competition in the competition for corporate listing. Although there have been many high-quality enterprises during this period, the for meetings have resorted to all means to achieve performance, with a large number of shell companies going public and fishing in troubled waters. The most typical example is the Hong Kong antenna, which is known as Hong Kong cable. Cable means crazy in Cantonese, and the Hong Kong computer listing and land drinking milk founded by peers. The stock market will drop from over 1770 points at the beginning of 1973 to around 150 points at the end of this year, with a decline of over 90%. 2 years ago, in 1972, he traveled across the river to Xiangjiang. After crossing over, the memories of the two lives fused together without any obstacles. The current Lei Liquan is the only son of Lei Jiahua from Kowloon Jiahua. Coming to Xiangjiang in 1972, Lei Liquan made a name for himself. You should know that he is also a fan of online novels. With his 5 million yuan in private money, he used events such as buying land, drinking milk, and Xiangjiang antenna in the stock market to buy long land and antenna stocks from HSBC. Countless leaks flooded in, and Lei Liquan naturally sold out smoothly, making a profit of 150 million Hong Kong dollars. Lei Jiahua and Li Chaoren were figures of the same era. During the peak of real estate development in 1972, Lei Jiahua was not willing to just be a builder and wanted to enter real estate development. He thinks and acts in this way. At that time, Lei Liquan tried his best to dissuade him, but unfortunately, Lei Jiahua did not comment on his dissuasion. With great enthusiasm, I bought 180,000 feet of industrial land located in Kwun Tong for 30 million yuan. I don't know if it's a big heart or a big courage, so I started with a big hand. Almost drained the working capital from Kowloon Jiahua's account. Originally, it would have been more aggressive, preparing to mortgage Kowloon Construction Holdings and buy another piece of residential land. Under the strong persuasion of Lei Liquan, it was finally abandoned. After the stock market crash, the real estate market was covered in chicken feathers, which scared Lei Jiahua into a cold sweat. But the industrial land purchased for nearly 30 million yuan immediately incurred a loss of nearly 30%. Industrial use is relatively good, with a loss of 50% on commercial land. I'm not afraid of this loss, at least there are still a few visible and tangible pieces of land lying there. What makes people even more anxious is the operation of the company. After the real estate market entered a downturn, the construction market was also not good, and there was a serious shortage of construction. The working capital has already bottomed out, and Kowloon Jiahua is almost unable to pay its employees' salaries. If it weren't for Lei Jiahua using his own money to make up for it, the company wouldn't have been shut down. So the company's situation has always been a headache for Lei Jiahua. For Lei Liquan, there is no good way but to make his father bleed and persist. Lei Liquan knew that it would take about another year or so for this situation to improve. Kowloon Jiahua building, located in Hung Hom, Kowloon, has 12 floors, but it is already very old. But the geographical location is relatively good, with Victoria Harbour barely visible from the top floor. The most important thing is that it covers an area of nearly 80,000 square feet. Of course, the building doesn't occupy such a large area, and there is still an open space in front. Previously, it was used to park construction vehicles. Later, due to the rapid development and increasing number of construction vehicles, their entry and exit seriously affected the surrounding buildings. With the intervention of the Hong Kong government, a piece of land was found in Kwun Tong to install construction equipment and vehicles. The value of the building has not yet been reflected, but in the eyes of Lei Liquan, it is an undeveloped golden mountain that will be rebuilt in a few years and waiting for payment. In addition to this building, Kowloon Jiahua also has a portion of idle properties that have been built into theaters, totaling 8. Among them, Sheng, Kaisheng, and Huasheng are 4 leading theaters located in densely populated areas with a large area and nearly 1,000 seats. In history, Lei Liquan used this group of theaters to start his career as an entertainment tycoon. This batch of theaters is also favored by Lei Liquan, but what he is interested in is still the land under the theaters. You should know that nowadays, Xiangjiang Theater is an independent theater, unlike later generations where it was built in shopping malls. This kind of land utilization rate is unacceptable for Lei Liquan. After all, no one could have imagined that Xiangjiang's land was so valuable at this time. Only those with good eyesight can discover hidden value. Li Chaoren is such a person with top-notch vision, so he played with Huang and his market value was brought to several hundred billion Hong Kong dollars by him. Now, almost no one understands the future development of Xiangjiang better than Lei Liquan, and I believe he can become Lei Superman. Bald Head is a newcomer, seeking collection, recommended tickets, and monthly tickets. Welcome readers to criticize and correct. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Young Master Lei Jiahua. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Young Master Lei Jiahua, Dad, Lei Liquan said with a smile as soon as he arrived at the chairman's office on the 12th floor of the Kowloon Jianya building. Chinese New Year is coming soon. He said that the company is not doing much business now, and you should also let the company take a break as soon as possible to make everyone happy. You have also worked hard for a year, so you should rest early. The chairman's office area is luxurious, with a large desk and a sofa in the reception area. But Lei Liquan did not sit, but stood next to the senior class table. Although he was the only son and wanted to become a mixed-generation crown prince, he couldn't help but pretend to be a good boy in front of his father and try not to make his father angry when he thought that Lei Jiahua would die of a heart disease a few years later. Thinking of this, it can be said that the Lei family is also an old family in Xiangjiang. The founder, Lei Rueda, came to Xiangjiang in the early 20th century and created a family business through hard work. Lei Rueda has two sons, the eldest son Lei Jiahua and the second son Lei Jukan. Those who often read Hong Kong literature know that Lei Jukan is also a prominent figure in the country. Lei Rueda left behind two industries for the Lei family, one is Kowloon Bus and the other is Kowloon Construction. Strictly speaking, Kowloon Motor Bus is not yet the foundation of Lei Jia, but Lei Jia is the largest shareholder of Kowloon Motor Bus, holding 21.6% of the shares. The founder of Kowloon Motor Bus was Deng Xiaojian, who founded Kowloon Motor Bus in the 1930s and has been serving as the chairman of the board for almost half a century. However, after the end of World War II, Kowloon Motor Bus faced financial difficulties. In order to save the situation, Deng Xiaojian introduced a new shareholder, who was Lei Rueda, the father of Lei Jiahua and Lei Jukan. Although the chairman of the board of directors of Kowloon Motor Bus is Deng Xiaojian, the influence of the Lei family is also significant, as they are the largest shareholder. Kowloon Motor Bus belongs to the public sector. In 1961, the Hong Kong government required Kowloon Motor Bus to abandon diversified operations and focus on providing transportation services to the public. Otherwise, bus licenses would not be issued, and there was a certain upper limit on the company's profit margin. So currently, Kowloon Bus cannot make a lot of money, but it is very valuable, and the bus parking lot and repair shop land will be valuable in the future, so it is also a high-quality heritage. The Lei family has always operated Kowloon Construction as its main business. Kowloon Motor Corporation was a real estate business that was spun off from Kowloon Motor Bus in 1961. However, Deng Xiaojian was not here, so Kowloon Motor Corporation gradually became controlled by the Lei family and became their property. However, at that time, although the real estate industry also made money, competition was fierce, and British companies were also much stronger, so Raymond slowly shifted it to the construction industry as the main focus. Lei Jiahua also inherited his father's business and deeply cultivated the construction industry, making Kowloon Construction the second largest construction enterprise in Hong Kong. You should know that the concept of clan is very strong in the south, especially in the eastern part of Guangdong. So after the death of Raymond, the Leis did not separate and were still led by their eldest son Raymond. Although the Lei family is not a top billionaire, they are still considered an old and powerful family in Xiangjiang. The competition for wealth among these families has never had much familial affection. Speaking of which, Lei Jukan, the second son of the Lei family, is not an easy person. In history, it was because Lei Jiahua passed away due to heart disease that he controlled all of the Lei family's business. Moreover, Lei Jukan is a famous entertainment tycoon in the history of Hong Kong Island. The Golden Princess Cinema line, founded by Lei Jukan, broke the bottom-line policy of the Hong Kong Island cinema line and changed to a sharing system, allowing independent filmmakers to develop and to some extent promoting the glory of the Hong Kong film industry in the 1980s and 1990s. The newly established New Art City Cinema even fought against Shaw Brothers and Shaw Brothers. It should be noted that Shaw Brothers and Shaw Brothers are mortal enemies. In the early 1970s, when Shaw Brothers was established, they fought until the 1980s, but they joined forces to resist New Art City, demonstrating the strength of New Art City. So Lei Liquan is definitely not a simple character, although he is slightly less charming than those tycoon-level people, he should not be underestimated. However, in history, Lei Liquan held the sole power of the Lei family after the death of Lei Jiahua. However, now history has taken a different path due to a change in one person, and Xiangjiang, the Long Tan, will become even more lively. This person is the eldest grandson of the Lei family and the only son of Lei Jiahua, Lei Liquan. After working hard for a year, I said I'm not busy now and I should give my buddies an early break to have a happy and lively new year. Lei Jiahua paused for a moment and said, I visited the Hu family yesterday and was planning to let us, Kowloon Construction, undertake several projects. Today, I called you to the company to ask if you are interested in taking over some of Kowloon Construction's properties. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the money to start new projects. If we sell them through the market, but the current market price is too heartbreaking. After all, Kowloon Jianya belongs to the Lei family, not Jiahua himself. Dad, all right. Can you discuss with Uncle Air that the 8 theaters are priced at 12 million yuan? I'll take it. I am preparing to sell industrial land at a loss. Although the theater is an ancestral property, it is not a problem for my own people. I will discuss with your second uncle during the Chinese New Year. Dad, there's one more thing I need to discuss with you. I'm planning to register several companies that belong to me personally, so that I can step out of my family and become independent. Lei Liquan hopes to get his father's consent. Lei Jiahua knew that his son wanted his father's recognition and support, and looked at his son's eager gaze. I agree. You made a lot of money before, but what do you plan to invest in when registering a company now? Lei Liquan shook his head and said, in Xiangjiang, the real estate industry will definitely be the most profitable place in the future. I took my family's theater as a preparation for this, but it's not yet the time to enter on a large scale. Even if I enter, I am also planning to vigorously develop rental properties and the hotel industry. In fact, I also want to develop residential properties for sale and commercial real estate. After all, things rotate in order to generate greater profits. In the 1970s, the real estate industry in Xiangjiang exploded with enormous potential, with various capital movements, including wealthy individuals engaged in shipping, trade, and factory operations. Those who did not invest were basically more than 90% unable to survive in the 1990s. Rebirth of Xiangjiang, this piece of fat cannot be given up. With Xiangjiang real estate as a lucrative investment, in the future, there will be capital to develop in the industry and compete appropriately with competitors. Okay, it's not suitable for real estate development in the near future. Now, like Jane, when are we planning to get married? We're still young, haven't we had enough fun yet? As long as you have mutual interest in this matter, you cannot be 100% in control. Let me go to invite old Hu and worship Fanglishing with him, and ask Lisheng to be in charge. You're still young, but I'm not young anymore. I want to have a grandson. I'm Lei Jiahua, and you're the only son. Okay, Lei Liquan thought it was better not to continue with this question. I'll ask Zhen for her opinion first. The Li family is not simple. It is an old established family in Xiangjiang, and many people have selected the first generation of the 4 major families in Xiangjiang. The results may be different, but the Li family has consistently ranked among them. The founder of the Li family was Li Shisheng, but he passed away relatively early. At the age of 49, he was shot 3 times and died. Seeking recommendations, collecting monthly tickets, and following. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Li Jia. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Li Jia. But Li Shisheng married 4 wives throughout his life, with a total of 15 children. Among them, Li Ziming was Li Shisheng's eldest son, while Li Xiaohua, the founder of Wireless, was his third and legitimate eldest son. Many Hong Kong entertainment novels depict how after the death of Li Xiaohua, Xiao Daheng bullied the orphan and widowed mother, forcefully seizing control of TVB. But the reality is that even Xiao Yifu is a tycoon-level figure. If Li Xiaohua's wife didn't have the intention to run TVB, Xiao Daheng wouldn't dare to bully the widow of the Li family. Li Shisheng accumulated a rich family background for the Li family, and under the management of Li Ziming, the Li family became even more prominent. In the 1950s, he was known as the Land King of Causeway Bay. In addition to Li Shisheng, the Li family also has Li Guowei, Li Shisheng's nephew, who is highly respected and one of the few senior figures who simultaneously dominate the fields of politics, economics, and education in the Xiang River. But most of his life's hard work was still at Hang Seng Bank, where he served for nearly 60 years and now serves as the general manager of Hang Seng Bank. People familiar with Li Guowei refer to him as Li Sir, and he is the godfather of banks in the hearts of many political and financial figures in Xiangjiang. In 1997, he was awarded the Grand Bauhinia Medal together with Mr. Hua. Li Ziming and Li Xiaohua both passed away relatively early, so their reputation was not well known in mainland China, but Li Guowei was received by Duke Deng. The Li family has gone through 4 generations, with descendants spread all over the world. Currently, it is a top-tier wealthy family in Xiangjiang, and the Lei and Li families cannot be compared. In the afternoon, Lei Liquan and his son Lei Jiahua returned to their mansion in Deepwater Bay. Home remains as deserted as ever. After his mother passed away from the pandemic in the 1960s, his father never brought a woman home again. Sitting at the small bar at home, pouring a glass of 72-year-old red wine, picking up a newspaper, flipping through it for a while, I found that it was all some inexplicable news, or trivial matters. Either it's a scandal in the entertainment industry, but it seems to be relatively mild without any exaggerated embellishments. Another thing is the serialization of novels. Perhaps this is the popular route of this era. Due to its unique geographical location and historical reasons, Xiangjiang has made this small place one of the world's financial centers, and it is also such a small place that has issued hundreds of newspapers, big and small. The Xiangjiang newspaper began to appear in the 1850s, and after more than 100 years of development, Chinese-language newspapers now dominate the mainstream of Xiangjiang. Among them, Oriental Daily, Tsingtao Daily, and Ming Pao have the highest sales. Dongfang Daily was founded the latest, but it has developed the fastest. With its largest news gathering and editing team in Xiangjiang and some peripheral news, in less than 5 years, Dongfang Daily's sales have been on the rise, and it has since surpassed others in Xiangjiang. We won't discuss the identity of its founder, but it is truly impressive with this ability. Suddenly feeling like I should start a newspaper. You can start a business with just 2 million yuan, which can quickly increase your influence and make money, as if running a newspaper is quite profitable at this time. Why not do it? As for the upcoming cinema, whether to build a cinema or open a supermarket, it's better to think carefully. After all, supermarkets are a long-term business, but movies will be easy to make money in the next 20 years. The year has passed, on the 6th day of the first lunar month. Today, I made an appointment with Zhang Dazhu, the exclusive lawyer of the Lei family, to have breakfast at the Peninsula Hotel. Hello Lei Sheng, the two of them walked back and forth to the hotel reservation room. Sit down, Lawyer Zhang. Lei Liquan put down his newspaper and had no choice. In this era, only newspapers can provide people with information and pass the time. This is also why newspapers have a great influence nowadays. This newspaper is a must-have. Lei Sheng, I don't know if you can invite me over. What can I do for you? I need to establish several companies, including a holding company under my personal name called Thunder Holdings, a Thunder real estate development company controlled by the holding company, a Thunder investment company controlled by the holding company, and my wholly owned Thunder newspaper company. That's all for now. With so many companies, it will take about a week. Zhang Dushu's eyes lit up. As soon as he heard these names, he knew that Lei Liquan was definitely going to have a big one. As the exclusive lawyer of the Lei family, our relationship with the Lei family is naturally very good. As early as last year, Lei Liquan suddenly approached him and said that he was planning to invest in another company's stocks in the stock market, and consulted him on some legal issues. He informed Lei Liquan of some common legal issues, and later Lei Liquan's long contract with HSBC also went through his review, but the specific amount figure was blocked. At that time, I didn't think much about it. Both the real estate and stock markets were booming, and it was normal to be bullish on real estate. Although it was a bit exaggerated to go long with 5 times leverage, it was not very outrageous. After all, at that time, it was unlikely that real estate stocks would fall, and even if they fell a little, they wouldn't lose too much. But with the subsequent acquisition war of buying land and drinking milk and the timing of the cash out in the matching contract, Zhang Dazhu naturally knew that this transaction was a blood profit, but unfortunately did not know how much the principal was at that time. During this period, he has been waiting for Lei Liquan to take action. No matter how much investment is made, as long as there is any movement, as a full-time lawyer, he will naturally have a higher income. We have already established a holding headquarters, and the investment in the future will definitely not be small. Lei Liquan continued, please help me contact the headhunting company and recruit a senior personnel team first, and then move on to the next step. No problem, I know the bosses of several headhunting companies. The economy is not good now, so it's much easier to recruit people, Zhang Dushu assured with a smile. The waiter brought up about 10 types of breakfast and said while eating, also, look for an intermediary company in an office building in Central, preferably tens of thousands of feet. I want to rent it. Okay, Zhang Dazhu also agreed. Although the current real estate market is not good, the impact on Central is very small. A 10,000-foot central office building can rent at least 50,000 Hong Kong dollars per month, and even with beautiful scenery, it is possible to double it. Lei Liquan's generosity further confirms his previous ideas. A lease of 2 to 3 years is sufficient, and I will definitely have to move into my own office building in the future. After receiving instructions, the lawyer immediately went back and acted according to the requirements. And Lei Liquan borrowed the hotel's phone number, and after getting through, he said a few words before hanging up. In no time, the phone rang and it was Li Yuzhen who called. Although there is already a big brother at this time, it is not very useful in Xiangjiang. However, there is already a BB machine, and the other party can receive the message by making a phone call, then call the phone company to inquire about the number, and then call back. It may seem troublesome to future generations, but now it is very advanced. After all, people can still be found quickly. Thank you for your support from Taijia. Bald Head is a new book for newcomers, seeking monthly tickets, recommendation tickets, collection, and follow-up reading. Mamoda. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Dating. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 5. Loans. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Loans. HSBC, as the quasi-central bank of the Hong Kong government. It can be said that before 1997, the people of Xiangjiang were constantly influenced by HSBC, including clothing, food, housing, and transportation. Several years later, Li Chaoren's acquisition of Huang was almost delivered to him by HSBC. It was precisely this acquisition that gave Li Chaoren full fortune, enabling him to embark on the era of the Li family's city in Xiangjiang and embark on the path of becoming the richest Chinese. It can be seen from this that HSBC has a great influence in Xiangjiang. Shen Bai can be said to have outstanding abilities among the senior executives at HSBC. But Lei Liquan doesn't have much favorability towards him. Mainly in 1982, at a critical moment in the negotiations between China and Britain regarding the return of Xiangjiang, Shen Bai made a statement to the media that he had no choice but to use sovereignty for governance. Later on, as we all know, Xiangjiang's smooth return disappointed their plans. Therefore, Lei Liquan had a bad impression of Shen Bai, mainly because of this matter. However, Ran Lei still had to face each other with a smile. Who calls HSBC now? There are too many resources available in Xiangjiang. Only when Lei Liquan becomes stronger in the future can he be angry with him. Although the Lei family is considered an established family in Xiangjiang and has a certain background, compared to HSBC, it is really nothing. So, at present, Lei Liquan dare not show any malice towards Shen Bai and must wear a fake mask in front of him. Now we still need to develop low-key and strengthen ourselves. Under normal circumstances, as the son of the leader of the Lei family, Lei Liquan would not be able to make Shen Bai bow and greet him. But Lei Liquan's performance in the stock market in the past 2 years has been quite remarkable. While most people were howling, he was reaping a bountiful harvest. Upon closer examination, Shen Bai realized that Lei Liquan had profited 30 times in the stock market for 5 million yuan, successfully arousing his curiosity to see what kind of divine Lei Liquan truly was. In fact, the reason why Lei Liquan opened an account at HSBC is also to showcase his business investment ability to HSBC and to connect with HSBC's senior management. In this bustling commercial and financial atmosphere of Xiangjiang, it is necessary to infinitely expand your earning power and let more people know your skills. Otherwise, under the name of a wealthy second generation, others may not pay attention to you. So, with Lei Liquan's deliberate friendship, the two had a good start, at least they could talk and occasionally have afternoon tea together. But this time Shen Bai personally went out to greet him, which still made Lei Liquan feel a bit flattered. "You're too polite, Mr. Shen. I really can't bear it. I actually asked you to go out and greet me." Xiaoleisheng can certainly afford it, as the youngest stock god since the opening of the Xiangjiang stock market. Lei Liquan also praised Shen Bai. "Anyway, whatever sounds good, just pick it up and say it." Shen Bai was very happy with the photo, and his buttocks turned red. Shen Bai knew that Lei Liquan was in the stock market and had just made a deal. Today, when he came to HSBC, he must have business to discuss. Sitting in the reception room, Shen Bai was delighted and immediately praised Lei Liquan, saying, "Xiaolei is so young and has such a precise vision and efficient investment ability. If you let everyone know, the citizens of Xiangjiang will definitely admire you very much." Lei Liquan knew that Shen Bai was a skilled expert in dealing with Chinese people, so he listened to his words. "I have to thank Mr. Shen for keeping it a secret for me. Otherwise, if I make a name for myself at this time, Xiangjiang city may not necessarily worship me. After all, my happiness is built on the pain of others." Lei Liquan didn't beat around the bush anymore and said directly, "I came over today. I have something to trouble HSBC and Mr. Shen. I don't know what benefits Xiaoleisheng has in finding us HSBC." Shen Bai chuckled and said, "I am optimistic about the rise in gold prices recently, so I plan to invest 100 million Hong Kong dollars in gold and commission HSBC to invest in the London Gold Exchange." Shen Bai was a bit surprised now. Lei Liquan's investment is a bit excessive. Although it may not be a complete loss of value, if there is a mistake in the investment, it can be enough to damage Lei Liquan's muscles and bones. "Excuse me, do the Xiaoleisheng know about this investment?" Although Lei Liquan has reached adulthood and has full civil capacity, Shen Bai couldn't help but ask this question. "This is a personal investment, I don't think it's necessary for my father to know." After finishing speaking, Lei Liquan took out a gift box from his bag and presented it to Shen Bai, saying, "I know Mr. Shen likes collecting famous watches. I hope you will like this gift, Mr. Sheng. Xiaoleisheng is too polite. There is no problem investing in gold, and it is a cash investment. There is nothing to worry about, Shen Bai said without hesitation, holding the watch in his hand. Mainly because Lei Liquan does not require leverage operations, it is very safe for HSBC and can earn substantial transaction fees. Isn't that what banks do? Thank you very much, Mr. Shen. This investment has put a lot of effort on Mr. Shen's part. Don't worry, since Xiaoleisheng believes in us HSBC, we HSBC will definitely complete your entrusted investment perfectly. After all, our bank does this business. After speaking, Shen Bai notified the relevant personnel to handle the commission procedures for Lei Liquan and entrusted HSBC to purchase 100 million Hong Kong dollars in London gold. London, the empire that never sets, is one of the world's financial centers and currently the largest gold trading market in the world. Although Lei Liquan spent 100 million Hong Kong dollars to invest in London gold, one thing is certain. In this large pool of gold in London, there won't be any water splashing. Although gold trading nowadays is mostly spot trading, it is generally entrusted to major banks to open gold accounts to purchase gold and store it in banks. So, Lei Liquan also used this batch of gold as collateral and successfully borrowed 50 million Hong Kong dollars from HSBC Bank. Although banks need to control risks, the price of gold has been rising recently. So HSBC gladly accepts the loan application from Lei Liquan. For ordinary people, this is a gamble. If the gold market goes down, not only will they lose capital, but they will also lose a large amount of handling fees. But for Lei Liquan, this is a good opportunity to make money. Although there are quite a few opportunities to make money now, such opportunities do not happen every day, and of course, we must seize them well. In fact, the power of thunder can also be more aggressive, allowing for leverage and harvesting of greater wealth. Once delivered, there will be more capital to do more. If Lei Liquan really does this, HSBC will definitely not lend him the most, because the risk is uncontrollable, and banks will basically not do accompanying money transactions. In fact, obtaining a gold mortgage loan is a disguised form of leverage. Because Lei Liquan knows that there are many opportunities this year, and if he doesn't have any cash in hand, he can only watch eagerly, thus losing the opportunity to make money. Lost in the east corner, gained in the mulberry tree. Having too many opportunities to earn money is also a worry. In the hands of Lei Liquan, with such a large amount of funds, of course, there must be sufficient returns. Otherwise, it's better to invest in gold futures. Lei Liquan turned his attention to the real estate market, which is currently undergoing a correction. Bald Head is a newcomer, all the big shots, please support me a lot. Recommend tickets, comments, and also save them. Thank you. Speak smoothly and the plot will slowly unfold. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. The Wilderness of Retail Industry. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. The Wilderness of Retail Industry. In the coming period, Lei Liquan will either be recruiting or going on a date with Li Yuzhen. Oh no, Maori Yuzhen is getting more and more off. Road life still needs to be restrained. No wonder later generations of Great Lu had to wash his kidneys. Speaking of Big Lu, I think of Iron Kidney brother Lin Zuhui. By the way, Guan Jilin should be making his debut soon. It seems like he needs to quickly start a film company with the assistance of Lu Deming and Zhang Dazhu. The acquisition team recruited 7 people through a headhunting company. The temporary leader was Lin Changming, an old real estate resident from Xiangjiang, and the other 6 were senior managers. 5 men and 2 women. The investment team has recruited 3 people, with a temporary leader named Su Wan, who is a senior investment manager. Below are 2 soldiers. Currently, there is not much activity, mainly focusing on international gold prices and observing the Xiangjiang stock market. The office has recruited 5 clerks, who will be temporarily responsible by Lu Deming. Finance recruited 5 people, and the person in charge is Wu Tianyun, an elderly person from my father's Pai Lei family. And Lei Liquan recruited an assistant named Tian Yun for himself. After graduating from Lei Liquan with a major in finance and working in the finance industry for many years, Lei Liquan specially offered a high salary. At this point, there are more than 20 grassroots teams get started. Cluck a knock on the door. Please come in. Lei Liquan looked up and saw that it was his new assistant Tian Yun. Lei Sheng, Manager Lu, Manager Zhang, Manager Wu, and Manager Lin are here. Okay. After speaking, I saw 4 people entering one by one, standing across from the senior class table without a seat, expressing respect for my boss, but for Lei Liquan, this was unnecessary. But this was in the mid-1970s, during the transition from old to new, when the laws of the Qing dynasty in Xiangjiang were abolished. The boss was the boss, and the employees were the employees. Sit down. Lei Liquan waved his hand. I called you in today to talk about your recent work. A few people saw this and quickly opened their notebooks. Firstly, there are still a few theaters among the 8, and we need to turn our attention to other independent theaters. Next, I have great use. Lin Sheng wants to spread people out and see which ones can be bought. Theaters are not only suitable for displaying movies, but also for opening supermarkets. They are located in areas with high pedestrian traffic, and they are also land reserves. Small buildings can be built for reconstruction. Okay, Lin Changming stood up and answered. Also pay attention to which buildings are for sale, you need to inform me as soon as possible. Lei Liquan gestured to Lin Changming's seat. Lu Sheng's side also needs to increase recruitment efforts, but currently it's better to have more than enough. Uncle Wu will help me take good care of my home and plan my finances. If there is any situation, he will give me a warning as soon as possible. I will inject 30 million yuan later. Originally, it was 88 million yuan, with 50 million yuan of HSBC loans still pending, and another 8 million yuan to be kept in his personal pocket for pocket money. Use the money together first, but each company must keep good records and not mix them up. Zhang Dashu must strictly enforce the contract and the law. I don't want to cause unnecessary trouble. Do you all understand? He looked at the 4 people and said, once you understand, take action. Break up the meeting. There is no dragging or dragging. This is the new company and new atmosphere. Lei Liquan walked up to his office window and thought to himself, real estate activities are currently being bought and sold at the bottom. We just need to follow the steps, and the development of properties will definitely not enter this year. The brain is running at high speed, and there are too many things to do, but in advance, the amount of funds is small, because currently the main focus is on bottoming out the property. Newspaper industry. Investment. The film industry. Investment. Retail industry. Investment. The newspaper industry expands its influence. A land full of beautiful women in the film industry. Retail industry is cash flow. The beacon fire plays with the lords. Who doesn't love beautiful men? Why else would they be looking for money? Newspaper industry, retail industry, beauty industry, no, film industry, there are several ways in the retail industry. Department stores, supermarkets, and convenience stores. Xiangjiang has over 100 department stores, with the oldest being Lane Crawford. Lane Crawford was founded in 1850 by British businessmen such as Thomas Ashlano. In 1969, Lane Crawford department store was purchased by the British-owned firm Deloitte Co. Although Lane Crawford has changed hands several times, its high-end roots have never changed. Lane Crawford has 5 large department stores in Xiangjiang, all selling European and American branded products, with customers mainly being high-income individuals such as wealthy and famous people. Some middle-class even take pride in entering Lane Crawford's department store, indicating its position in high-end department stores. Before the 1970s, the department store industry in Xiangjiang was basically dominated by Chinese capital. In addition to Xiancheng and Yong'an, there were also many large department stores such as Daxin, Zhonghua, Yuhua, and Dahua, but as far as Lei Liquan knows, since the mid-1970s, RB department stores have been coming to Hong Kong one after another, and RB department stores have world-class services, strong Japanese financial resources, and a growing reputation for RB products. As a result, Chinese department stores have been taken down one after another. During the heyday of Japanese department stores, they accounted for 60% of the revenue of Hong Kong department stores. Through analysis, Lei Liquan first ruled out entering the department store field, not that he did not enter this field, but rather that he is not suitable to enter this field at present. As for supermarkets, Lei Liquan can only sigh with admiration. Firstly, he lacks strength, and secondly, he does not want to directly compete with Landmark now. In terms of investment, supermarkets are definitely huge. A few million Hong Kong dollars may be enough to launch this project, but they cannot withstand the pressure of competitors to lower prices. The most important thing is that supermarkets in Hong Kong are not yet mature, and the brand of Welcome Supermarket was established in 1970. Another major supermarket, Baijia Supermarket, was founded by Hutchison Company in 1973. Lei Liquan doesn't want to get into direct competition with Landmark and Hutchison right now, although it's just a commercial competition. But Lei Liquan also does not want to enter this immature market now, let alone the possibility of malicious competition with Landmark. So, all that's left is the convenience store. In the past life, Xiangjiang only entered the development period of convenience stores in the late 1970s, and even RB only introduced 7.11 convenience stores from Malay country in 1974. In the 1970s, Xiangjiang was already a city that never sleeps, with young workers and even overnight residents. In addition, Hong Kong's economy took off in the 1970s, so, Lei Liquan believes that in this era, convenience stores must be suitable for Xiangjiang. The characteristic of convenience stores is undoubtedly their long operating hours, smaller in size than department stores and supermarkets. They do not require a complete range of goods, but also rely on convenience, cleanliness, and speed to attract customers. A variety of convenient foods are provided for customers to choose, such as instant food such as frozen steamed dumplings, mantou, xiaomai, soup dumplings, cakes, biscuits, bento, and other drinks such as milk, coffee, juice, etc. The store provides microwave ovens and other equipment for customers to eat warm. Based on the experience of later generations, Lei Liquan quickly came up with a preliminary convenience plan on paper, and he leaned back on the office chair with satisfaction. Of course, supermarkets and department stores must also enter, but we have to wait until the right time. Only when Lei Liquan holds a high position in Hong Kong and the company goes public in the future to cash out a large amount of funds, can Lei Liquan consider it. Bald Guy is a newcomer's new work, seeking collection, recommendation, and criticism. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. How can Xiangjiang movies be without the Lei family? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. How can Xiangjiang movies be without the Lei family? When it comes to Xiangjiang movies, I have to tell a historical story. In 1913, Li Baihai and Li Min formed Huamei Film Company with the owner of Shanghai Asia Film Company, Blaisky, and directed the entrepreneurial film Zhuangzi's Trial Wife, in the same year. This film is the first truly local film in Hong Kong and has also achieved a leap from short to long for Hong Kong cinema. In 1933, the Chinese film company founded by Lai Pak-hai launched Hong Kong's first partially sound film, Conscience, and soon after, the first fully sound film, Silly Bride, truly bringing Hong Kong cinema into the era of sound. Director Li Minhui is known as the father of Xiangjiang film. Li Minhui was the grandfather of the famous actress Li Zi in Xiangjiang in later generations, and Li Zi, attracted by her financial ability, married into the Ma family of Dongfang Daily. The Ma family is a famous disruptor of Xiangjiang flour, and they founded the Oriental Daily in order to whitewash. Regardless of our situation, they all succeeded in the end. And Li Zi also became a wealthy lady and a successful businessman. Everyone has their own choices, but it's inevitable to feel a little emotional, just that life is really too superficial. Lei Liquan really wants to establish a film company and run a newspaper now, sees the opportunity of the Ma family and women. In meaning. During a period of time, Xiangjiang film represented a pioneer in the internationalization of Chinese language films, receiving rave reviews in the Southeast Chinese market, opening a new chapter in the international history of Chinese language films, and establishing Xiangjiang film's dominant position in Southeast Asia, which is also a memory of a generation. In Xiangjiang, where there are only a few million people, since the 1960s, new movies have been released almost every day. At that time, the investment for making a movie was about 500,000 yuan, and one could be made in 10.5 days, just like a production line. However, due to the narrow territory and limited population of Xiangjiang, the size of its own market was limited, and later it was defeated by the powerful capital of Hollywood, losing its central position in Chinese-language cinema. In the 1950s, Xiaoleisheng returned from Nanyang to Xiangjiang and founded Xiangjiang Shaodi Film Company. Xiao's blockbuster production and flowing film production created a period of glory. Xiao's films are a golden signboard of Xiangjiang film, which has been watched by generations. Even today, some kung fu films produced by Xiao brothers are still classic works. Xiao's products must be of high quality, not at all boastful. The first heyday of Xiangjiang cinema was in the 1960s. Countless film companies of all sizes, as well as nearly 200 cinemas. It can be imagined how prosperous it is in a small Xiangjiang. Xiao Shi led the entire Xiangjiang film city in the 1960s. At that time, the only electronic film with Lu Yuntao could compete with Xiao brothers. But unexpected events happened. Lu Yuntao heard at that time that some rare cultural relics brought by old Jie from De were stored in the warehouse of Wufeng Township in Taichung. At that time, the Taichung Museum had not yet been built. Lu Yuntao has always had a good understanding of cultural relics and art, so he decided to lead a delegation of Jianmao to visit the treasures in Taichung. After visiting the treasures, on the afternoon of June 20, 1964, Lu Yuntao and his group were en route back to Taiwan on a plane. Unexpectedly, the Black Swan incident occurred. Lu Yuntao's civilian plane crashed over the Sanjiao village in Sheng, Taichung. The death of Lu Yuntao caused great shock in Hong Kong and Taiwan, and the Golden Horse Awards were also suspended at the end of the year. After Xiao Shi lost his only opponent, he began to feel a bit lackluster. For a period of time, Xiao Shi did not produce many good movies, and the audience's enthusiasm for movies began to slowly decline. The Shaw brothers unified the cinema line of Xiangjiang, but due to Shaw brothers' blockbuster production and sales system, it hindered the development of Xiangjiang cinema. The Xiangjiang courtyard line has also dropped from nearly 200 during its peak period to less than 80. One chicken dies, one chicken crows. But there is a divine will in the world. In the 1970s, Zhou Huiwen, who did not want to be further exploited by Shaw brothers, founded Jiahua Film Company and began to compete with Shaw brothers. At this very moment, the martial arts master Bruce Lee was also struggling in Hollywood and hit it off with Jiahua. 4 consecutive films broke the box office record in the Xiangjiang film industry, enabling Jiahua not only to establish a foothold in Xiangjiang and become a film company that competes with Shaw brothers, but also to send Xiangjiang films to Hollywood. However, Bruce Lee passed away young. After Bruce Lee's unexpected death in 1973, Jiahua almost went bankrupt. Fortunately, Zhou Huiwen successively excavated Su Guanwen, Jackie Chan, Hong Jinbao, and others, who carried the banner of Jiahua's comedy films until the new century. The waves behind the Yangtze River pushed the waves before, and a new generation surpasses its predecessors. In the 1980s, New Art City Cinema, founded by Lei Liquan, temporarily suppressed Jiahua and Shaw brothers due to the cancellation of the bottom package system and the change to a composition-based system. Later, due to the outdated blockbuster system, Shaw Brothers shut down his film business, officially announcing the end of a generation of film tycoons. However, with the passing of Lei Liquan, the new art city was also glorious for 10 years, but it made an indelible contribution to the resurgence of the Xiangjiang film industry, although it was only a fleeting moment in the long river of history. At this moment, the film industry in Xiangjiang is still in a somewhat lifeless state. If we want to change it, the best way at present is to break the bottom package system depicted in movies, implement a sharing system, and form 100 flowers blooming together. At the beginning of 1974, this was the best time for Lei Liquan to enter the film industry. Just like the king of comedy, Su Guanwen, still silently accumulating strength, waiting for one day to erupt, while Lei Liquan could reach out and give him a hand. The Lei family itself has a Xiaoleisheng cinema line, with 8 theaters, and also has a certain influence in the Xiangjiang film industry. The theater is currently leased to Jiahua for use. If Lei Liquan enters the film industry now and establishes his own cinema line, he just needs to reclaim it. Currently, the economy of Xiangjiang is not very prosperous due to the impact of the major stock market crash. The economic downturn has led to a downturn in the film industry, and many theater owners have come up with plans to sell their theaters. Lei Liquan now holds a large amount of funds and is targeting these theaters. Of course, these theaters must also be worthwhile acquisition targets. After the acquisition of Lei Liquan, not only can it expand the number of Lei family theaters, but it can also wait for the appreciation of the theaters and also allow one to enjoy their dream female stars. What a one stone three birds, singing at night. However, due to the economic downturn, a large number of Xiangjiang theaters are struggling to operate well and are seeking redemption, which is in line with Lei Liquan's wishes. It is also the best time to bargain. Of course, with a cinema line, there must also be good movies. Only good movies can truly establish a foothold in the film industry. When it comes to movies, I think of Su Guanwen, the king of comedy in Xiangjiang, who must join hands and not let himself sink forever. Since you have already obtained the Xiaoleisheng cinema line, don't hesitate anymore, then prepare to start a new wave of film prosperity. Hahaha, let's let the Lei family change the Xiangjiang movie. Xiangjiang's film history has never changed. Ladies and gentlemen, the storyline gradually unfolds. Bald Guy is a newcomer, seeking collection, recommendation, and criticism. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Newspapers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Newspapers. Due to its unique geographical location and historical reasons, Xiangjiang has developed into one of the world's economic centers. Due to the demand for information, hundreds of newspapers, big and small, have been created. According to statistics, in 1957, there were a total of 42 newspapers in Hong Kong, in Chinese and English, daily, noon, and evening. In 1970, it increased to 70 companies. In terms of sales, around 500,000 units were sold in 2020, and by 1964, it had increased to 900,000 units. In 1989, it had skyrocketed to 1.8 million units. At that time, the population of Hong Kong was 5.5 million, and on average, every 3 people owned a newspaper. In the 1970s, there were around 70 newspapers with sales reaching 1 million copies. It can be seen from this that newspapers have a huge influence in Xiangjiang. Currently, Oriental Daily, Tsingtao Daily, and Ming Pao have the highest sales among newspapers. Dongfang Daily was founded the latest, but it has developed rapidly. With a large team of news reporters and editors, it publishes the classics of horses and dogs. In less than 5 years, its sales have already surpassed others, and it has since surpassed others in Xiangjiang. Ming Pao was founded by the martial arts master Jin Daxiao. Through serialization of his martial arts novels and impartial reporting, it has been favored by literati in Xiangjiang and has become the most money-seeking newspaper. The Tsingtao Daily is the longest established newspaper among these 3, and it is sold to North America and Southeast Asia, with great influence. One chicken dies, one chicken crows. How many chickens have died in the economic crisis we just experienced? New newspapers will definitely break through and start crowing, affecting us and others. This is also a good time for Lei Liquan to enter the traditional media industry. Just as he was about to finish work, Lei Liquan hung up a phone call to Ono Maoli Yuzhen and told him to have a ceasefire tonight. Truce is not about avoiding war, but about gathering strength and energy. Lei Liquan has decided to go home and have dinner with Lao Lei tonight, but he doesn't know if Prince Hua of the Lei family has an appointment tonight. Go downstairs, Pingji, driver and bodyguard Abio. Target: Deep Bay. A few days later, Lin Changming submitted a report on potential theaters for purchase. The first thing that caught Lei Liquan's eye was the Yamadiai Theater, known as one of the 5 major theaters in Xiangjiang. The so-called 5 major theaters were just 20 years ago. The Yaomati Theater only had 500 seats and some facilities were outdated. This theater originally belonged to the Shaw Theater line. In history, when Lei Jiahua established the Princess Jean Theater line, he rented it out until he withdrew from Princess Jean in 1986 and joined the Rewo Theater line. Of course, Lei Liquan does not know the historical trajectory of the Yaomati Theater. Although the theater is already quite old and the surrounding residents are also some middle and lower class civilians, this is the central area of the old district, with a very abundant source of customers. The geographical location is very good, and in the future, demolition and reconstruction can make a big profit. In addition to the Yaomati Theater, there is also a theater that makes Lei Yunrong envious, which is the Queen's Theater. The Queen's Theater is also a theater with a long history, and its location is really great. Just outside is Queen's Avenue, where the foot traffic is very scary. Moreover, the Queen's Theater is one of the few theaters in Xiangjiang located within the building. The Queen's Theater is located on the ground floor of the Luhading building, which was actually built on the original site of the Queen's Theater. On July 21, 1961, the completion of the building and the opening ceremony of the Queen's Theater were presided over by Sir John Chow. The Queen's Theater had an electric escalator for visitors to walk on, and before the demolition, it was the oldest escalator from Hitachi in Hong Kong. This is not what impressed Lei Liquan the most. What impressed Lei Liquan the most was that the Luhading building also has an intention to sell now. The owner behind this building is Lu Haitong Company, which is also a well-established real estate company in Xiangjiang. Now, due to the impact of the stock market crash, they want to sell their properties to continue their lives. There are also 5 theaters in the hands of Chen Rongmei and Feng Bingjong, as well as 7 or 8 independent small theaters. Lei Liquan authorized Lin Changming on the spot. Within 50 million yuan of the Hai Lu Tong building, 4 million yuan of the Yao Ma Ti Theater, and 5 million yuan of the theater in the hands of Chen Rongmei and Feng Bingjong, you can make your own decisions. Upon receiving instructions from his boss, Lin Changming immediately promised, "Okay, boss is fine." After all, this boss has given himself a practical task for the first time, and it's time for a mule or a horse to come out and take 2 steps. Don't think that the current economic downturn is under great pressure, but others may not necessarily have to sell. You must lower your profile, be sincere, and not be high-profile. Lin Changming nodded, indicating understanding. After Lin Changming left, Lei Liquan was tapping on the table with his fingers and thinking. It was time to register the Leiji Oriental Cinema Company. I called in my assistant Tian Yun and instructed him to register a cinema company, which he and Zhang Dazhu were responsible for. Thinking about being relatively low-key now, but soon losing it, I had to pay attention to my own and my family's safety. Thinking about this, I immediately called my bodyguard and driver, Abio, to the office and explained everything. Abio, formerly known as Shubiao. Swimming over from the sea. Abio, you can immediately purchase 4 Pingji vehicles and hire 20 professionals from the security company to ensure the safety of me and my family. On my dad's side, I will discuss with him. You will become the security team leader in the future. Lei Sheng, no problem. Abo remained silent and silent. In fact, after arranging for Lin Changming to discuss the acquisition, HSBC's loan was successfully disbursed. After receiving the money, Lei Liquan specially invited Shen Bai, a ghost guy, to have a big meal, not only to express gratitude but also to build friendship with him. It's true that this ghost guy will have too many resources in the future. If you have any requests from others in the future, you must establish a good relationship in advance. They won't pay attention to you if you make last-minute excuses. While eating, looking at this ghost guy couldn't help but think of Li Chaoren. The entanglement between these two people is so much talked about. Li Chaoren has not yet met Shen Bai, and their acquaintance will take a few years to rebuild the Chinese building. The Wawawaxing building is also a building with a long history. It was founded in the early 20th century and is located on Queen's Road in Central. At that time, Central on Hong Kong Island was dominated by foreign companies, and Chinese merchants wanted to enter Central but had no place to stand. At that time, a real estate developer was building a commercial office complex on Queen's Road. After the building was completed, Chinese people competed to rent it out. In that era, foreigners always thought they were superior and disdained living in the same building as Chinese people. Foreigners who had already paid a deposit withdrew from the group, so this building became the Independent Kingdom of Chinese People, and the name of the building was changed to Chinese Walk. However, in history, the Chinese Bank building will be purchased by HSBC at the end of this year, and it is unclear if there is any other motive behind it. Due to its ancient age and outdated architecture, as well as the fact that the Chinese Bank is located in the towering Central Bank District, the original Chinese Bank building has increasingly become a dwarf. In 1976, HSBC demolished the old Chinese branch and cleared the land for the development of new rental properties. At that time, many real estate companies participated in bidding, and being able to connect with HSBC was almost the dream of every wealthy person in Xiangjiang. The current Chinese richest man, Bao Boat King, has gone from having nothing to becoming the world's ship king in just 20 years with the help of HSBC. At that time, HSBC provided unlimited loans to Baochuan, but it seems that HSBC also invested in global shipping. Newcomers and new books, bald heads, please pass by big shots, request recommended tickets, and collect. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Thunder Oriental Cinema Line. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Thunder Oriental Cinema Line. Li Chaoren naturally hoped to win the business of rebuilding the Chinese tour, but faced with fierce opponents, Li Chaoren did not have a complete victory. In the end, Li Chaoren also invested heavily, and the submitted plan was almost unprofitable. Li Chaoren's strategy of not making money naturally caught the attention of HSBC. Shen Bai, who was in charge of this matter at the time, naturally entrusted the business of rebuilding the Chinese branch to Li Chaoren. Li Chaoren built a new Chinese tour in just 2 years. The new building has a total height of 22 floors and a total area of 240,000 square feet. The exterior walls use the most advanced technology at that time. In addition, the lighting and fire prevention system of the building are all controlled by computers. The new Chinese tour satisfied Shen Bai very much, and during his 2 years of contact, he also gained a comprehensive understanding of Li Chaoren. Later, with the support of Shen Bai, Li Chaoren began to soar and turn Xiangjiang into the city of the Li family. He built the houses he lived in, distributed the electricity he used, and opened the supermarkets he visited. So it is necessary for Lei Liquan to intercept HSBCs who, not only to prevent this Chinese building from falling into the hands of foreigners, but also to cut off a bit of Li Chaoren's fortune. It is difficult to restrain a businessman like Li Chaoren who has top-notch vision and abilities. He can only narrow his path by relying on his past life's vision. As for why does Lei Liquan know so well? The autobiography of Li Chaoren in his past life was very popular. Now Lei Liquan is going to let Li Chao understand how energetic you were when writing Li Chao's biography in your past life, and how frustrating this life will be for you. Smiling. So after finishing dinner with Sheng Bai, Lei Liquan took the matter of Chinese travel to heart. The next day, Lei Liquan asked Lin Changming to specifically understand the current situation of the Chinese tour. After several days of understanding, Lin Changming also handed over the Chinese travel situation to Lei Liquan. At present, Wawawaxing still belongs to Wawawarial Estate, and Wawawarial Estate is not in Fan Lu's industry. At this moment, he has not even established Imigo. At this time, the owners of Chinese real estate were actually two major families. The Feng Bingfen family and the Li Fushu family. Li Fushu and Feng Bingfen both come from an old and prestigious family in Hong Kong. Li Fushu is a descendant of Li Shipeng and the brother of Li Fuzhou, the godfather of the Hong Kong stock market. Li Fuzhou was the founder of the Far East Association, and he was also the first chairman of the United Exchange established by the merger of the four associations. But Li Fushu's identity is no less than that of Li Fuzhou, and he currently serves as a member of the Legislative Council and CEO of the Bank of East Asia. Feng Bingfen is the son of Feng Pingshan, the founder of Bank of East Asia. He is currently a member of the Legislative Council and Executive Council, and was awarded a knighthood by the British royal family in 1971. In fact, there is another real estate company controlled by the two companies, Jiahua Entertainment, which takes turns serving as the chairman of the boards of directors for both companies. Originally, these two families controlled the majority of the equity in these two companies, making it difficult for others to take over. But the fortress was always breached from within, and later due to a dispute over interests, the two companies were each defeated by Fan Lu and successfully occupied by these two listed companies. The Wawawaxing building covers an area of less than 20,000 square feet and is only 12 floors high, but its location is excellent. It is located at 2 Queens Road Central in Hong Kong, adjacent to the later Landmark Square. Now, due to the stock market crash and oil crisis, the operation of Chinese real estate has also encountered difficulties. Otherwise, they would not have sold such a geographically excellent building to HSBC. But just because of its excellent geographical location, Lei Liquan realized that he didn't have enough money at all. Before the stock market crash, this building, along with its land, was worth at least 90 million yuan. If you wanted to buy it, it would cost at least 100 million yuan, and even others might not necessarily sell it. Although the real estate market is currently sluggish, its geographical location determines that its price will not drop too much. If purchased, it will now cost at least 80 million yuan. This made Lei Liquan suddenly feel that he was actually very poor. I thought holding 80 million yuan was a huge sum of money that could be bought, but now I realize it's only enough to buy one central tower. But Lei Liquan did not give up either. Although he doesn't have enough money now, he will have it by the end of the year when he sells the gold, and he can get a loan at most. And now that the real estate market has not bottomed out, it will be cheaper by the end of the year, which is more in line with one's own time. However, some preparation work can be done slowly first to test the reputation of Chinese real estate, and then we can discuss it slowly. If the acquisition funds are not enough, we can mortgage a loan from HSBC. After these busy half months, by the end of March, Thunder Development had spent 3.6 million yuan to purchase the Yao Ma Ti Theater. 50 million to purchase the Luhading building. Although the Luhading building only has 13 floors, it occupies a smaller area than the Chinese community, only over 10,000 square feet. But anyway, this building has only been built for about 14 years and is still considered a new building. Located on Queens Road in Central, the annual rent is also a considerable income. But buying this building, Lei Liquan doesn't have much money left. Adding these two theaters, Thunder Oriental has already reached 10 available theaters, including 6 leading theaters. But Xiaoshi has 28 theaters, and Jiahua Cinema Line also has 26. Although there are only 8 in Lisheng, there are also 18, let alone Jiahua, who will definitely make up for it. Lei Liquan didn't want to settle for the lower position and directly spent 4.5 million to buy the property rights of the 5 theaters held by Chen Rongmei and Feng Bingjong. Then, based on the distribution of theaters in hand, they spent 2.1 million to purchase 3 theaters. In this way, the Thunder Oriental Theater line has 18 theaters, covering Kowloon and Hong Kong Island, and has the ability to initially confront Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest. It's time for the bottom of the market today, with an investment of 92 million yuan, originally 1 billion yuan, leaving 8 million yuan, only 42 million yuan invested, and a loan of 50 million yuan, and a cost of 12 million yuan to purchase my own theater. This time, I spent 60.2 million yuan on the purchase, leaving less than 20 million Hong Kong dollars. It seems that I still have the ability to purchase a Chinese bank, but I must take out a loan. But before that, we still need to negotiate with Jiahua because our 8 theaters are rented out to Jiahua. How to reclaim the theaters cannot be left empty, and we must find film sources. No matter how busy we are, we cannot finish for the sake of Thunder Oriental Cinema Company. Lei Liquan specially recruited their vice president Yang Wenkai from Shaw Brothers, who worked in cinema distribution for 10 years. Xiaoleisheng is the top cinema and has always been well managed, so Lei Liquan naturally recruited people from Xiaoleisheng. The first thing Yang Wenkai did when he took office was to negotiate with Jiahua and reclaim the cinema line. And renovate the cinema line and hang the signs of the Thunder Oriental Cinema line uniformly. Yang Wenkai's ability is indeed good, not only supplementing the manpower of the cinema company, but also quickly establishing the authority of the top leader. At this point, the Lei family officially intervened in the film distribution. In June, the Luhading building was officially handed over, and it was originally planned to be renamed Leiji Building. Lei Liquan thought for a moment and decided to keep a low profile, but the next thing made it impossible for him to keep a lower profile. Seeking collection, seeking recommended tickets. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Thunder Oriental Pictures. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Thunder Oriental Pictures. Lei Liquan's entry into the film industry is not about valuing profits, but rather valuing the resources within it, which can also prevent Eastern cinemas from having no films to showcase. This resource can be expressed in various ways, but to put it more accurately, Lei Liquan plans to acquire a television station in the future, expected to be TVB, with Lijia as the major shareholder, which will require a lot of talent in the entertainment industry. The film company can provide a channel for this. To take a step back, I definitely want to attract many celebrities. Opening a film company is also convenient for self-sufficiency, and I can also support these celebrities without having to pay for them myself, in a silly smile. If he wants to make a difference in the film industry, Lei Liquan has also carefully calculated. The cinema has already been arranged by himself, so this time it is the film company. Then I inquired about it in the film industry, and one person entered the eyes of Lei Liquan. He is Wu Xiyuan, the current owner of Xiyuan Film Industry. Wu Xiyuan is also a person that Xiangjiang movies cannot ignore. He discovered Jackie Chan and was the first Xiangjiang filmmaker to enter mainland China to film co-productions. He was also the initiator of director seminars in mainland China, Xiangjiang, and Wan, and served as the chairman of the Hong Kong Film Awards for 5 consecutive years. He gave up his high-paying job as a high school teacher for 6 years and joined Shaw Brothers, where he devoted himself to learning. In 1971, his first independent film directed was action films such as Crazy Killer and Dang Ko Tan. Dang Ko Tan achieved a box office of 1.76 million Hong Kong dollars in Xiangjiang, and Wu Xiyuan himself became one of the most influential commercial film directors during this period. However, later on, Wu Xiyuan transformed into a producer, so his influence gradually faded. In 1973, Xiyuan Film was founded, and it was this company that produced humorous kung fu films such as Drunken Fist and Snake Hand that made Jackie Chan famous, allowing him to embark on his glorious journey. At this moment, Wu Xiyuan has just established Xiyuan Film Company. Although it has brought some profits and gained fame due to the success of the previous film, it is still not easy to start a new company. So it has also made his new film a bit difficult to produce so far. At this moment, Lei Liquan suddenly came to his door and said he wanted to acquire Xiaoyuan film, which had just been framed, which also left him a bit confused. Originally, Wu Xiaoyuan didn't want to sell it, but unfortunately, he gave too much. Lei Liquan directly invested 1 million yuan in the company that Wu Xiaoyuan had just started, which prompted Wu Xiaoyuan to quickly sign his own name. Don't be fooled by the fact that a movie in the future can easily cost tens of millions, as if 1 million doesn't make it to the stage. But now in 1974, 1 million yuan is not a big deal, and you can buy 2,000-foot mansions. Nowadays, the investment for a movie is only a few 100,000 yuan, and Shaw's words have lower costs. Sometimes, a movie can be made for just 100,000 yuan. That's why Wu Xiaoyuan agreed so happily. As for the requirement to continue serving as the general manager. Isn't this a good thing? There's nothing to hesitate about. At first glance, it looks like a rare big water pipe, so there's no need to search for it in future filming. Lei Liquan also renamed this company as Lei Oriental Film. So from the beginning of its establishment, Lei Oriental Pictures had a complete framework, flesh and blood, and could directly carry out production work. Lei Liquan first moved Lei Oriental Pictures into the Heilutong building, specifically freeing up a whole floor for them to use, which instantly made the company's facade look much more grand. Lei Liquan then injected another 2 million yuan into the company for making new movies and updating equipment. Now, Lei Oriental Film requires money and people, and everything is on the right track. Now Lei Oriental Pictures has invested in filming the new film, The Little Godfather of Xiangjiang, that Wu Xiaoyuan was preparing for before. Moreover, the investment in this movie is not significant, and Lei Liquan does not want to dampen Wu Xiaoyuan's enthusiasm, and it can also fit in with the team. Lei Liquan also doesn't know if this film has hit the streets, but since Wu Xiaoyuan will continue to thrive in the future, it is highly likely that he will succeed. Although Lei Liquan has never heard of this film, at least it should not cause significant losses. Moreover, Lei Liquan does not believe that even if he invests money, it is still impossible to develop the company by including outstanding filmmakers under his command. If that is the case, it will be fate, and Lei Liquan will accept it. Of course, making your own movies is not everything, and in the future, you will definitely support independent film producers, either for distribution or investment. We will not let the Eastern Theater of Lei be empty. The urgent task now is to find talents who can provide high-quality movies. The Lei Oriental cinema line is about to open, waiting for the dishes to be cooked. And the most urgent one among them is Su Guanwen, because he is about to join Jiahua Zhou Huaiwen. This classmate of Bruce Lee has shown excellent organizational and communication skills since his student days. After graduating from university, he worked as a high school teacher and also part-time as an advertising planner. In 1968, he joined the newly established TVB as a host and co-hosted the program Double Star News with his brother Hui Guanjie, which set the highest ratings for Hong Kong television that year. In 1972, the year before last, Su Guanwen was invited by director Li Hanxiang to star in his new film, The Great Warlord. It happened to be the opening of the underwater tunnel, and Su Guanwen wore the costume of the Great Warlord and took a car with his 13 housewives to cross the tunnel, creating a beautiful river. Of course, this is just a form of propaganda and hype. This movie satirizes the era of the Beiyang government, in which the warlords controlled the right to life and death of the people, but were only a clever and brave local emperor who acted recklessly. This movie created a viewing frenzy in Xiangjiang, breaking the trend of kung fu films at the time and winning the most successful comedy film award for describing characters at the 19th Asian Film Festival. And this movie also opened a new door for Su Guanwen, achieving his glory for the next 20 years. In 1973, Su Guanwen, who had already made some progress in performance, intended to develop into a creative filmmaker who could edit, direct, and perform. He handed over the self-written and proud script Ghost Horse Twin Stars to Xiao Yifu, and hoped to share the profits equally with the company through joint venture filming. This offends Xiao Daheng. Although Mr. Xiao Yifu is very generous in charity, he is known for being frugal in his employees and company operations. Moreover, at that time, Shaw Brothers Films implemented a blockbuster system, which integrated film production, distribution, and screening, and also had their own film studios. So Shaw Brothers Films have always been self-produced and self-sold. Shaw Brothers star directors, like employees, only receive salaries, and even when making movies, they receive a small amount of compensation. Lei Liquan plans to break the traditional blockbuster production system in Xiangjiang in the future, and will support independent film producers through a sharing system. In Xiao Yifu's view, Su Guanwen's request was an offense to himself and cannot be tolerated. He immediately refused it on the grounds that the script was too poor, otherwise people's hearts would scatter in the future. After Su Guanwen, he had to seek another collaborator. Seeking collection, seeking recommended tickets. Bald head kowtow and thank you. End of this chapter.